I gave you my serious prediction. This is the worst case prediction for the Steelers. If everything that can go wrong does go wrong, this is what it's going to look like for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Week 1 at Atlanta. Steelers come into the season sky-high expectations. A marquee matchup between two quarterbacks in their mid-30s trying to stave off Father Time. Kirk Cousins throws a touchdown pass to Kyle Pitts with 1:15 to go in the fourth. Gives the Falcons a lead. After the game, Pitts says it wouldn't have happened if Arthur Smith were calling the plays. Van Jefferson drops the game-winning touchdown pass in the end zone as time expires. The Steelers lose. They drop to 0-1. Week 2 at Denver, Russell Wilson makes his return to the Mile High City. Sean Payton and Dangerous hug in an awkward pandering pregame meetup on the field. Both guys get so caught up in showing the other dude up, it turns into a shootout. Bo Nix replaces an ineffective Zach Wilson in the second half. Leads the Broncos to an overtime victory. Dante Jackson can't cover Cortland Sutton in a throwback to the 2011 wild card game against Tebow. Pittsburgh falls to 0-2. Week 3, LA. As rumors circulate that Tomlin could join the TV booth following the season, he uses the speculation to galvanize the team. The Steelers circle the wagons. They pick up a much-needed win. They move to 1-2 in the young season. Week 4 at Indy. Steelers jump out to an early lead. The offense rolls in the first 3 touchdowns as Pittsburgh heads to the break up 21-10. The wheels fall off in the third quarter. 4 Steelers defensive backs are thrown out of the game for illegal hits. Anthony Richardson runs for 2 second-half scores. Indy comes from behind to take a heartbreaker 31-28. Week 5, Dallas. Justin Fields fumbles the opening kickoff. Which is returned for a touchdown. Dallas never looks back. The Steelers lose at home. They're 1-4. Russ has his first clunker of the year. Mike Tomlin asked postgame about his quarterback situation, but stands behind Russell Wilson. Then they're on to Vegas. Gardner Minshew warms up in the Daisy Dukes. He throws 2 picks and 2 tutties in the first half. Steelers trail at the break 14-6. Tomlin shocks the world. He turns to Justin Fields. He leads the team to a comeback victory. They improve to 2-4. This is the worst-case scenario, by the way, for the Steelers' 2024 season. Week 7, the Jets. Rodgers v. Fields in a battle of prodigious talents. They go toe-to-toe for 3 quarters. Rodgers eats a beetroot. He chews clay before the start of the fourth. It's the boost he needs. Steelers lose on a last-second field goal. They're 2-5. Onward to the Jets. Mike Tomlin goes with a 2-quarterback system. Brian Daboll's Giants are flummoxed. Pittsburgh gets into the bye week at 3-5. Then after the bye, they take on Washington. Tomlin has his guys ready to go. Jaden Daniels was injured in the Commanders' previous game. Pittsburgh has no trouble with Marcus Mariota. They win. They bring their record to 4-5. Week 11, Baltimore. It's gut check time in the AFC North kitchen. Mike Tomlin doesn't lose these games. The Steelers find a way to pester Lamar Jackson enough to come away in a squeaker 21-20. Pittsburgh evens their record at 5-5. Week 12 at Cleveland, Deshaun Watson playing the best football of his career. Kevin Stefanski has Cleveland in first. Watson outduels Russ Wilson. It's a coronation. Pittsburgh gets run out of the building. Browns fans hang a banner. Pittsburgh on life support at 5-6. Then it's Cincinnati. Najee Harris calls out Russ Wilson in a cryptic midweek social media scrum. George Pickens unfollows the Steelers on social media. Deontay Johnson catches a game-winning touchdown for Carolina in his career year. Meanwhile, on the field, the Steelers get beat up by Burrow and company. Their record falls to 5-7. Week 14, Cleveland. Roethlisberger's podcast goes viral after he tells Spence that the old cowboy wants to lace him up again. Justin Fields laces him up as the Steelers quarterback. Pittsburgh is able to win. They climb to 6-7. CBS flashes a standings graphic. The Steelers are in the hunt. Week 15 at Philly. Pittsburgh visits the undefeated Eagles, who have already locked up the NFC East. Kenny Pickett starts in place of Jalen Hurts. He matches his season total in touchdown passes from 2023. He drops 6 scores on the Steelers. Saquon Barkley adds 2 more on the ground. Pitt and Penn State fans argue on Twitter. Pittsburgh now 6-8 in the season on life support. But wait! They shock the world the rest of the way. They run the table behind a strong Najee Harris, Jaylen Warren two-headed monster. Pittsburgh finishes strong, winds up 9-8. Tomlin fails to have a losing season, but the Steelers miss out on the playoffs due to a tiebreaker. Art Rooney II praises the coaching in his end-of-season sit-down with pomp, and Tomlin is presented with a lifetime contract. 9-8, worst-case scenario for the Pittsburgh Steelers, because let's face it, Tomlin is incapable of having a losing season. But right now, I give you the best case scenario for the Steelers' 2024 season. Gave you the worst case back at 6:45, and I told you they'll at worst go 9-8 because that's all Mike Tomlin's capable of doing, is going 9-8 at worst, and then he'll get a lifetime contract. But here's the best case scenario. Week 1 at Atlanta, the Steelers, buoyed by a June 1st acquisition of DK Metcalf, take the football world by storm. They crush the Falcons in Kirk Cousins' debut game. Kirk throws 4 picks. Michael Penix shouts, "You like that?" into a cameraman's face at halftime. Arthur Smith calls the game of his life. Pat Freiermuth has 4 touchdowns. Kyle Pitts sobs on the sideline. The Steelers are 1-0. Week 2 at Denver, Sean Payton attempts to dap up Russ prior to the pregame coin toss. Wilson gives him the classic up high, down low, too slow high five. Danger Russ throws 5 scores. Sean Payton blames the officiating after the game. Pittsburgh 2-0. Week 3, the Chargers. Jim Harbaugh calls his brother for game planning advice, not realizing the Steelers have beat the Ravens 7 out of 8 times. Pittsburgh rolls 31-20. Russell Wilson, an early season MVP candidate, finding former Harbaugh Michigan wideout Roman Wilson for 3 touchdowns. Your Steelers get out to a 3-0 start for the first time since 2020. Week 4 at Indy, Pittsburgh jumps out to an early lead. An interception to seal the deal by Minka is overturned. He didn't survive the ground. A 4th down sack by TJ Watt of Anthony Richardson seems to put the game away, but Najee Harris fumbles. Russ has to make a game-saving tackle. Kicker Matt Gay misses wide left on a potential game-tying field goal. Richardson calls him an idiot kicker following the game, and the Steelers are the darlings of the NFL, 4-0. Rich Eisen says Tomlin is the greatest coach in NFL history. Week 5, Dallas. The Steelers simply don't lose primetime games at home. Tomlin doesn't lose to NFC teams at the AC. Dak Prescott throws for 500 yards in defeat, mostly coming in garbage time. The Steelers start 5-0. Pony takes Twitter heat for saying the Steelers aren't winning impressively enough. Week 6, on to Las Vegas. Steelers take their first loss of the season against the hapless Raiders. Pony takes a victory lap. Chris Hoke says the Steelers would have won if Mason Rudolph started. Week 7, Aaron Rodgers has taken leave to campaign for a presidential candidate. Tyrod Taylor throws 4 interceptions in his stead. On Monday, Rodgers tells Pat McAfee that his team lost focus and doesn't care enough about football. Steelers go to 6-1. Week 8, the Giants. Big Ben honored to celebrate 20 years after his rookie season. Eli Manning broadcast the Manningcast live from the field. Daniel Jones, unable to handle the pressure of an all-time great Giant, casting a big shadow, throws 4 picks. The Steelers roll. Week 10, Washington. Steelers play down to their competition in D.C., but win a slugfest 14-13. Pittsburgh's 8-1. Mike Greenberg calls them paper champions on the set of First Take. Week 11, Baltimore. The Steelers get their first chance to flex against a division opponent. They bottle up Lamar Jackson and company. Mark Andrews drops a potential game-winning touchdown in the end zone. The Steelers 9-1 in first place in the AFC North. This is the best case scenario, by the way. Week 12 at Cleveland. Thursday night dud, negative 15 degrees. Steelers stub their toe 17-13 in front of 35,000 drunken inbred Browns fans. On then to week 13, 9-2 Steelers take on the 8-3 Bengals in a division clash. Joe Burrow misses the game after complaining about stomach pain, only for doctors to discover he had a second appendix, and that needed to be removed. Jake Browning takes 10 sacks. Steelers get to 10-2. Week 14, Cleveland. TJ Watt sacks Jameis Winston 6 times as he closes in on the all-time sack record. Myles Garrett has 15 quarterback pressures. He garners all the headlines. Pittsburgh wins 11-2. Then you get week 15 at Philly. Kenny Pickett starts in place of an injured Jalen Hurts. He throws 0 touchdowns. He has the Eagles in the red zone, down 3 with 30 seconds left. He runs into a sack off left tackle, fumbles the game in crunch time, and Pitt fans aren't sure whether to cry or cheer. The 12-2 Steelers are a win away from clinching the division. Russ Wilson twists his ankle. Mike Tomlin is mum on whether he'll play at the Ravens. But then you got Baltimore, week 16, the Justin Fields game, TM. Fields goes off for 130 rushing yards, 150 through the air in his best Lamar Jackson impression. The Steelers get to look at their quarterback of the future, and he does not disappoint. It's hat and T-shirt time for Tomlin. The Steelers are the kings in the North. Week 17, Chiefs, Christmas. Steelers aim for AFC supremacy. The 1 seed is on the line. Travis Kelce pops the question. to Taylor Swift before the game. The Netflix broadcast cuts to Sierra and to Taylor Swift over 50 times during the game. People cancel their subscriptions. Netflix never broadcasts another NFL game. The Steelers lock up the AFC behind a vintage Russ Wilson performance. And then week 18, Cincinnati, Justin Fields starts for Pittsburgh. TJ Watt plays one snap, gets a sack to record the single season record. Pittsburgh falls, playing mostly backups, finished the year at 14-3. Russ is great. Justin Fields, the quarterback of the future. And the Steelers go on to win a playoff game or two. All right, that was the best case scenario.